Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite late now, and I beg your pardon for late time. I beg your pardon also for talking slow together with Kurt, my friend, because we are not English-speaking people. Normally we speak German, Italian, and Tyrolese. And when we use these other languages, I tell you, we are speaking 3 times as much in half of the time. We are willing to explain you something which is very, very special. And I want to ask you, how many photos did you today, everybody of you? Maybe 10, 15, 20, 30? So you are certainly much faster than Kurt, but you are probably not better. Because what we are talking about is something anachronistic, probably. I met Kurt, and I will tell you something about him. I met Kurt some years ago. We worked together in Italy doing documentaries for the German television. Kurt is one of the most exceptional cameramen and video makers I have ever met and worked with. And some time ago, he told me about a new passion. Because as any journalist and video makers, after years and years and years you are doing this job, you get bored. You don't like it anymore because it's really something very, very stressing. And he told me about the art of photography. It was an idea which was very, very extravagant to make pictures. And he told me the name. I forgot it 10 times, so I wrote it down. It's ambrotype. And this technique has been invented in the middle of the 19th century and recovered by Kurt in years, and I tell about 4 or 5 or 6 years of very, very hard work. An hazardous adventure in these times of the digital revolution, where everybody does hundreds of photos every day. 35,000 years of paintings and 1.5 centuries of traditional photography have given us some important values, which are now in this digital age undergoing a drastic change. Digital technology has brought a change in dogma, in photography, has been liberalized, made accessible to everyone, and freed from financial constraints and educational requirements. And is this all positive? Probably not. But we will talk about that after this jumping into the world of Lightcatcher.
Let's see if we can start the movie. Yep.
Sometimes things happen in life that change everything. My stroke of fortune was to find a beautiful bellows camera from the year 1907. And sometimes work develops into much more than a mere occupation. That is, a passion. Passion is related to appreciation. The appreciation of fabricating something for yourself, doing manual work, acting out creativity. The basis of what I bring into being is what I create myself, against the general trend. Consciously unconventional and nonconformist. The photos created in this way are also unconventional. They are unique items of silver and light on high-quality black cathedral glass plates that use a special type of imagery. Images that tell stories.
Lifting up an empty goodbye silently. All my destinations will accept the one that's me. so I can breathe. Circles they grow and they swallow people. Half the lives they say goodnight to, wives I'll never know. A mind full of questions and a teacher in my soul. And so it goes. Don't come closer or I'll have to go.
And actually, it is a matter of stories, sometimes our own, and mine is played out in the mountains.
E credo che l'ambrotipia sia perfettamente adatta per descrivere esattamente ciò che provo quando sono su in queste montagne.
Questa fotografia, questo modo di lavorare ci costringe a lavorare con una sensazione di tempistica totalmente diversa, direi non attuale e non molto moderna. Chi non ama veramente l'arte non riesce, credo, a concepire quanta passione, quanto lavoro e anche quanti costi ci stanno dietro.
Quello che facciamo noi sono dei veri e propri unicati, non faccio un negativo che poi metto su un ingranditore e lo stampo per 200 volte o quante ne voglio io.
Non tutti sanno subito che cosa significa ambrotipia, ma sanno tutti quello che significa avere un unicato, perché l'unicato è come avere un quadro dipinto.
Ne incontriamo moltissimi di problemi. Ogni piccola cosa, ogni cambiamento di umidità, un colpo di vento, cioè ti può rovinare un'immagine in un batter d'occhio.
Papsi.
I had a vision. Why not convert a Russian military heavyweight into an enormous walk-in camera?
Underneath my being is a road that disappeared. Late at night I hear the trees, they're singing with the dead overhead.
My vision is to create enormous pictures of these unique mountains, three-dimensional in their effect, with each one unreproducible and unique.
I knew all the rules, but the rules did not know me, guaranteed.
Yeah, looking at the video.
Thank you very much.
This is really exceptional. Looking at the video, one could believe that you were a traditional and old-fashioned man from South Tyrol who wants to quit the modern world and hide himself in the middle of the mountains in his home village. Would you say that you have nothing to do with the digital world of today anymore?
Well, sometimes I feel a little bit like an alien, but nah, come on, I'm joking. I feel perfectly comfortable in the digital world, of course. The paradox in what I do is, on one hand, you work with this ancient system, with this historical system, and in the other hand, you need digital technology to be able to do these things. You know, I need the internet, I need informations from Google, I need all the recipes, the old ones, I need eBay to buy old lenses and find parts that I need to construct my cameras. So it simply wouldn't be possible without digital technology. I don't want to stop people from using digital cameras. That's not my aim, for sure. But I just want to kind of motivate them to solve upcoming issues with digital photography. And there are really a lot of, the appreciation of the pictures, the throughs content. This is a big issue. the archiving problem, let's say. Yes, this is something that we have to face in future, and the perception even of the pictures.
Let's talk about appreciation and truth. Photography is not only, for you at least, as what I understood, a simple copy of reality split into bits and simple moments, but a type of art which cultivates historic values. What do you mean, for example, with appreciation and truth and so on?
Well, I mean, pictures used to have values, not only a monetary one, but even an emotional one, if you know what I mean. Think about, or let's make an example. My grandparents, when they took a portrait, they had to go to the next city to find a photographer. You know? So it was kind of an event. They took the whole family, they went there, they had lunch all together, and they took their best clothes on, and they went there to take just one picture.
It was a rite, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Okay. And then they took this picture home, and it had a special place in the house, and it would last there for generations. So it had a real emotional value besides the monetary one, you know. So what I want to say is, let's think about, do you remember how long it took us to decide whether to pull the trigger or not of our analog cameras?
I remember, yes.
Because we had the film in there with 12 or 24 or 36 pictures 36. On it, and it cost a lot of money. 2 films for 1 vacation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you had to buy the film, you had then to develop it, that would cost again money, and then you had to print it again money, you know. So you had really to think about, is it worth doing these pictures? Do I really want to do this picture? And believe me, in this way you make better pictures if you think first and not later. So let's just think about something. If every selfie we take today with our cell phones would cost 50 cents, I think this world would be much nicer.
Yeah, the digital era has undoubtedly brought an enormous amount of possibilities for the mass media to communicate with the public, but it's also created us new problems. I remember a job we did some years ago together in Naples, and we had to do a documentary on the Camorra in the local, which is a local mafia. We met people in very problematic situations, in quarters of the city, with killed people on the street. Yes. We were in front of bodies, and we interviewed a man, for example, who had lost his daughter in a shooting, and he seemed to be a real victim of the mafia. And then we found out that he himself took part of the organized crime, and the truth, and this is the conclusion, is very often is not what we see, and even less in the digital era. You remember that, and we can see it on a photo here, which appeared some time ago. It shows a child with a koala bear.
Lately on internet, and it kind of shocked me, this picture, you know. So.
No, go ahead. I mean, just explain what we can see there. It's.
Yeah, it's about, I mean, you know, every picture that I see today on a newspaper, on the internet, I have to kind of ask myself, is it true? Is this picture manipulated, or is it true? And this is something that disturbs me, but really disturbs me. I'm getting crazy with this. And I don't know why they do these kind of things. I mean, somebody have to explain me the reason for something like this. This is unbelievable for me. Once we had something like a code of true, a moral obligation, you know. So photo used to be kind of proof, a irrevocable proof for something.
Yeah, it was that kind of reality we believed in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, in this era, it's not like this anymore. I mean, you have to question and to double-check every picture for its authenticity. And this is kind of one of the problems that we have to face. Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about a moral disaster in a gray zone. That's your words, and I can underline that as a journalist. I mean, we have to do not only to find a story to report on, but we have to check the story thousands of times together with lawyers and everything. Every picture, every sequence of video that we have to transmit is a problem, a legal problem. The statistics say that in 2017 has been shot 1,200 billions of photos in that year. I don't know how much does it take for you to make one picture with ambrotype, but probably for making only 1,000 photos, it would take you hundreds of years. But what does happen to all these pictures that people shoot in millions and millions with their smartphones?
Does somebody of you still have a floppy disk in the drawer?
We have another photo now.
Yes. We change it.
Yeah.
The thing is, most of the pictures we do today, I don't know whether we will see them in future. You know, they will get lost, and with these pictures, there will be a lot of feelings get lost, and this is for me a kind of disaster. Most probably we will live to our prosperity some kind of digital desert, most probably, because we store our pictures in clouds, we store it on hard disk, and sooner or later they will have the same problem than the floppy disk had once. You know, you will not have any hardware, you cannot read this kind of data anymore, and who can tell us how long a cloud is safe? I mean, this is one thing that we have to face in future.
Yeah. If nobody can handle these incredible mass of photographs anymore, it leads to an inflation of the value, as we said, and the loss of something very, very important. Your Ambra photos catch ultra-white light, but not only, they are full of emotions. And is that what it makes the difference of your photos and between your photos and those we know from our smartphones?
Well, what we do is we photograph a light that theoretically is invisible. It's the ultraviolet light. So I'm photographing something that I don't see. I cannot see it, okay? I see a picture on my screen, but it's not the one that I'm photographing. So I have to kind of interpret what I'm doing, interpreting. I don't know if this was the question.
Absolutely,
the perception is something very, very delicate. I mean, we have a sensory perception that creates feelings.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's different to work with a digital camera than with an analog camera. On an analog camera, I kind of use all my senses.
Yeah.
In a digital camera, I don't. In a digital camera, I just have a monitor which I touch, and that doesn't create any feeling, you know. When I work with my analog cameras, something like this, then I can see a real picture on my screen. It's not manipulated by pixels, or it's not an interpretation of what I see. It's a real picture that I see on the focusing screen, okay? I can hear the movements from the camera. I can hear the shutter. Yeah, I can smell the chemical substances, I can smell the developer, I can smell the fixer in my darkroom. And sometimes, I don't know, somebody of you may eventually remember the taste of Ilford Delta. It was something like peppermint taste on that. So all your senses are involved when you work with analog technology. That's a huge difference in using a digital camera or an analog camera.
But the question is always, why all that effort? I mean, you need a big car, you need big cameras. You told me the story. He has a lens that he once found in internet. This is why internet is
very
useful
for me. Yeah.
And he said, I found this lens I want for my truck that I want to construct to make it a laboratory for making my pictures. And I found it in London. He went to London, he bought it, and then he bought also 2 tickets back to Italy, because one was for him and the other one was for the lens beside him. And
well, it was a huge lens.
And he said, this is my baby and I have to bring it home. I mean, he's crazy, but he's a genius and he wants to do things and he does these things, but still the question, why this effort? Why all this very sensitive, labor-intensive and certainly not up-to-date procedure like the ambrotype?
It creates different type of pictures. It's more about the feeling that I have in this moment. You know, I'm deeply convinced that machines or digital technology don't create the pictures. The pictures, we create them in our head. You know what I mean? And the machines and the digital technology can help us because they organize the right exposition time and some things like this, but they are not the one who create the picture. It's about framing, it's about finding the right light, it's about waiting for the right moment. These are the important things, you know, and these things happen in your head and not in a machine, you know. That's the big difference. So, and then photographing something like this invisible light with this very, very short depth of field that we have, especially if you look pictures like this. And this is different. It's more a painting than taking a picture. Yeah, it's very, very different. I mean, I feel it in a different way, and it takes me something like 3 days to create a picture like this. You know, there is also the handcraft involved, and all the senses, as I told you before. So this is the huge difference, and that's why I do this kind of things.
This is an old man, and what did he say when he saw the picture?
Oh yeah, this is Much. We really love this picture.
How old is the man?
He was 95. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He passed away, but he was really an amazing man. He's a mountain farmer. We are doing this project. The project we're doing right now is a UNESCO project about the Dolomites and this last generation of mountain farmers. And at the time when he saw his picture, he came to me and he said, and believe me, I still get goosebumps when I think about that. He looked in my eyes and he said, "Your pictures are not lying." And believe me, this is one of the biggest compliments I ever got.
Lightcatcher is a project that comes from the bottom of the heart of Kurt Moser and Barbara Holzknecht. And they have set themselves the goal of using the kind of photography to wrest stories from their ephemeral nature and to give time a new value. Sometimes, at least part of the future, one discovers looking back into the past. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.